What's up guys, welcome back to the channel everyone. In this video we are going to do a review video on the all new BS6 model Jawa 42. Yes guys, you heard it right, and it's the BS6 model. And not to mention guys, this is the one of the best looking retro motorcycles which we can find in the Indian market. And also guys, the Jawa gives a good competition to the Royal Enfield motorcycles. So let's find out it's best than the Royal Enfield motorcycles or not. The first thing that we are going to feature is none other than the looks of this bike. The looks of this bike are really very excellent guys, and from any angle we can see this bike looks very attractive, and the road presence of this bike is excellent. The chrome finishing is done to the engine and some of the parts like the silencer and some of the parts, which looks really great guys. And in this bike it's only the single cylinder bike, but we get the two silencers which increases the appearance of this bike. And also guys, the most of the parts in this bike are made up of metal, which are really very strong and durable than the plastic and as well as the fiber parts. The color scheme in this motorcycle is Nebula Blue, which looks very attractive, and it is in the matte finish guys. And we can also see the golden strip design which is done in this motorcycle and written as the Jawa 42, which looks really very decent. From the front section also, this bike looks very attractive guys, so we can conclude that the looks of this motorcycle are really very eye-catchy.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for me.
Now we will be technically featuring about the engine specifications of this motorcycle. Now if we compare the engine specifications of this motorcycle guys, it is a clear winner when we compare it with the Royal Enfield Classic 350. Yes guys, you heard it right, because the specifications I am going to say are really far better than the Royal Enfield. This vehicle is powered by 293cc single cylinder engine, and it's the BS6 compliant engine, and it produces a good power of around 27 bhp and 28 Nm of torque, which is almost 8 bhp more than the Royal Enfield 350. That's the Classic 350. And also guys, this bike consists of a 6-gear speed transmission, and we also get a single spark plug in it, and we also get the twin silencer exhaust pipes, which increases the appearance of this bike. And the sound of this bike is also really very excellent guys, and we can also conclude that this bike's engine is really very butter smooth. One disappointing thing in this bike is this bike gets the tube tires in both front and as well as the rear sections. And also guys, the one good thing about this bike is this bike gets a good company tires, that the MRF or the CR tires, which really provide good stability on the roads, and the lifespan of these tires is also more when compared to the other company tires. And the front tire size is about 90 by 90 mm, and the rear tire size is about 120 by 80 mm. And we get the spoke wheels in this bike, which again increases the retro look of this bike. The braking power of this motorcycle is really very excellent. In this bike we get the dual channel ABS as a standard, and in the front section we get a 280mm disc brake, as well as in the rear section we get a 240mm disc brake, and we also get the dual channel ABS as standard, which increases the braking power of this bike, and the ABS is really a very life-saving feature. So for this retro bike, the brakes are really very excellent. The suspension in this bike is really very comfortable. In this bike we get the telescopic suspension in the front, and in the rear section we get a twin gas charged shocks, which can be adjustable. And one interesting thing about this bike is the same type of suspension, that not exactly same, the similar type of suspension is also used in the Royal Enfield. So this bike suspension is also very comfortable guys. Now we will be featuring about the instrument cluster of this motorcycle. This motorcycle gets the analog plus digital instrument cluster which looks very attractive, and it is placed on the side which gives this bike a retro look guys. And this instrument cluster shows all the information that nowadays bikes provide. This instrument cluster consists of the odometer, the speedometer, the twin trip meters, the hydro beam of the vehicle, the low fuel indication, the low battery indication, the low oil indication, and it also shows the ABS light, the engine switch, and some of the components that nowadays bikes are providing with. So by visual appearance, the instrument cluster may be small, but the use of this instrument cluster gives us good efficiency. In the front section, we get the halogen setup, which is really very attractive guys, but the practical use of the light is for good visibility during the night time. It gives good brightness, but the thing is, if the light would have more power and more brightness, the ride during the night time would be felt much more easy when compared to now. But it is decent enough for the city conditions, but in the long tours it may be somewhat difficulty. Now featuring about the rear section, we get the halogen indicators and the LED tail light, and they are very well designed and gives this bike a retro look. They are also really very bright guys, and there is no need of replacing these lights, and the visibility for the backside people is really more with these lights. Now we'll be featuring about the fuel tank capacity of this motorcycle. This motorcycle has a huge fuel tank capacity of around 14 liters, and in the city conditions we can expect an average mileage of around 35 to 38 kilometers per liter, and on the highways 40 kilometers per liter. As we compare with the power of this motorcycle, the fuel that this vehicle is giving is really very excellent guys, because this vehicle has a good amount of power, that's almost 28 bhp and 27 newton meters of torque, which is really very decent, and the mileage this bike is going also is very good, that's 40 kilometers per liter. This motorcycle weighs around 170 kg, which is a bit heavier, but when we compare it with the Royal Enfield, it is a bit lighter, that's almost 15 to 20 kilograms lighter when compared to Royal Enfield. And not only that guys, the ground clearance of this motorcycle is somewhat less when compared to the Royal Enfield, it's just only 140 mm. And also guys, the seat height of this motorcycle is 765 mm, which enables all the types of riders to ride this bike with great comfort, and good stability can be maintained with low seat height. And in this bike, the chassis which is used is a double cradle frame, which gives good stability on the higher speeds. Now we'll be talking about the main point in this motorcycle, that's none other than the cost of this motorcycle. This motorcycle costs around 1,56,000 ex-showroom price Hyderabad, which in my opinion is really a very good deal guys. This point why I'm saying is, this bike is one of the best looking retro bikes which you can find in the Indian market, and all the features are present in this bike which all the advanced bikes are coming with. So this is one of the best feature in this bike, and this bike brakes are also very good and gets dual channel as well as a single channel ABS also as standard, which is really a very good thing. And these all features combined together and make this bike one of the best retro looking bikes in the Indian market.